Good evening! Welcome for another episode of Easy8's Online Painting Club. My name's Danny, says it right down there. One day I'll line that finger up properly and get the name tag right. So many things to learn. Hope you've been well. I've had a cracking week. Been working hard as ever. Found a little bit of time for some hobby stuff. Been working on some of the tyranids that I've been doing over the past few weeks on the show here. And this week I've decided to change things up. I found that the show and my hobby was kind of getting a bit stagnant, kind of doing the same thing over and over again, not really getting very far with it. So I thought I'd mix things up a little bit and do a series of weeks of just doing some different bits and pieces. Got a couple of ideas in the pipeline, but the first thing that I wanted to get back to was my Panther, because I've had it now for probably about 9-10 months and I've still not finished it yet. I've really enjoyed the whole process, but I want to kind of get on and do some tracks, so we're going to have a look at those in a minute, because it's the one thing that I've not been dreading it, but I've been kind of I don't really know how to start, yet alone kind of the idea that I want to kind of get out there. So yeah, some of you guys were talking last week specifically, especially and the week, some weeks before, I've been talking about how do you do your tracks. I don't know, I just kind of make it up as I go along. So today I thought I'm going to do a little bit on the tank tracks on my 135th, and then kind of have a look at the other bits and pieces that I need to finish on it, so that I can do those in the future as well. A little bit later on in the show, I'll talk about some of the other ideas that I've had, what I'm going to do over the next few weeks, just to kind of spice things back up a little bit. But before I get into that, I just want to say hi to the guys in the live chat already. I was just looking at the time, I was like, oh my god, it's 7 o'clock, click, time to go live. So yeah, I was a little bit late there. My apologies, I was just, I don't know, picking my nose or something, cool. If you're new, or not, just to let you know that this isn't a tutorial channel, not at all. This is just a painting club, so you can come online, talk to the guys over there in the live chat, have a chat with me if you want to. Just a live broadcast, a little bit of company, maybe a bit of motivation, hopefully inspiration, to draw you in to kind of get your work done that you need to get through, because we've all got that big grey plastic pile of shame somewhere, right? Doesn't really matter what hobby that you're into though. If you just come along to kind of listen to me ramble on a little bit, then by all means, do get involved in the live chat. I can see we've got some new members that joined in last week. Chris the Wolf, let's go! Nice to see you again. Thank you so much for coming along last week, and thank you so much for coming along this week. Makes my heart feel a little bit warmer. One of the things that I just wanted to say was to say thank you so much for coming and joining in the show and the After 8 party last week, where I got to talk to some individuals from Germany. So hello to Germany. Our viewers are all over the world now, and I'm absolutely loving it. I'd also like to extend my heartfelt apologies for being a complete barbarian with the accent of your language. There are some German words that, of course, that I use, and I was told in the After 8 party that I butchered the accents of that language, which is a bit of a shame, because I do speak a bit of German. Not enough to kind of make you go, oh wow, he speaks a lot of German, but enough to get around, I suppose. So I was hoping that my accent would have been at least somewhere near, but apparently the only word that was any good was green. So yeah, I'm a bit embarrassed. I invite you to come along in the After 8 party tonight and have a go at speaking with an English accent to, I don't know, parry riposte. You know how it is. Adrian's in the chat there. Good evening. Looking forward to the tracks. Be able to take inspiration from my Tiger tracks, maybe even also for my Challenger. Yeah, hopefully. I've got some ideas. I've got some colours that I've chosen. And let's just see where it goes, right? Of course, Luke was in the first. Hello, and Jeff Lacey. Oi, oi. Thanks very much for coming along, guys. Yeah. So, I'd love to know what you guys are up to. So if you've got little projects ongoing, maybe it's something you've been working on for a little while, maybe you could also swap things out this week. Doesn't really matter. Let us know what you're doing. Drop a little thing in the chat over there on the side. Take some pictures, put them up on Facebook. We have Facebook. You should drop in a like or a follow, or of course here on YouTube, not on Facebook, here on YouTube. Please do subscribe to the channel, because every little tiny bit helps us along our way of making this community the best it could possibly be. However, last week we had Luke. Wasn't able to get in contact with Luke this week to kind of, hey, do you want to come along to the show? I did send him a message, but we've all got our own lives and things. So yeah, it's just going to be me this evening here. However, I did speak to Kyle not just a couple of hours ago. Kyle sends his best wishes to everybody and is absolutely mortified that he hasn't been here over the past weeks. But as we've said time and time again, The guy's been so busy studying and working hard to become a teacher, and his final assessment is next Friday. So I'm hoping to speak with him sort of 4, maybe 5 o'clock in the afternoon next Friday to find out how he felt it went, and then he should know within about a week after that whether or not he's actually, you know, passed this exam. And I'm sure, I know Kyle, I've worked with him, that's how we know each other. He's such a hard worker, and I know that you're going to do so well, Kyle. So if you're watching this, I'm not going to wish you best of luck, mate, because I know you're going to hands down it. It's going to be super easy for you. So all the best for that. No, good luck. Hopefully Kyle will be able to join us in a couple of weeks. He's super looking forward to it. I say I've got a couple of projects that we're going to do over the next couple of shows, and one of the projects that I want to do, and I want to do with Kyle, because it's something that we mentioned months ago probably now, that we wanted to do like a little project on skin tones and kind of painting and really upping our performance and really kind of pushing ourselves out beyond our comfort zones. So I've been looking for the ideal miniature for that. I didn't necessarily just want to do something 28mm, as befits most of the war games and miniature collections that Kyle and I both play and collect. So I really wanted to kind of do something a little bit different with that. So I've been searching around all the different kind of miniature creators, providers and stockists, etc, for something around like busts maybe, or 54mm, and I found a couple of really nice miniatures which I will share with you another time through eBay actually. I've decided that I chose a particular bust, and I'm going to pick up a couple of them, and then I'm going to send one to Kyle, and then we can work on the same project and compare our kind of our project work, if you like. So if you're really interested in kind of joining in on that kind of skin tone project, get in touch with me either in the comments to this video. I never get that right. I'm such a noob when it comes to broadcasting. I'm so sorry. Yeah, drop us a line in the comments to this video. Catch us over at Facebook. I'm available 24/7, pretty much all year round on Facebook. If I miss your comment, then I will get back to you within the day. So if you want to have a chat there, that's fine. Or you can just get in contact with us over at Discord, because we have the Easy 8 after party. I try to be on it as much as I possibly can during the week, but I'm always on it at least for half an hour to an hour at the end of every show, where I'm cleaning things down. And like I say earlier on, I had a really nice chat with some of the viewers over there from Germany and Luke last week. So come along and join in. Jeff Lacey says, Devon/German, nice combo. Yeah. So for those of you that don't know where I come from the southwest of the UK in a county called Devon, and it is the rural countryside of the UK. My accent has been trained out of the really thick countryside accent that you can get. I know some people, if you've ever seen Hot Fuzz, where they have the translator guy who you can't understand, who talks to all the farmers, yeah, I rub shoulders with people like that all the time. So that's maybe a reason or an excuse as to why I am so terrible with the German language. It makes for some interesting combinations. Sorry about that. Cheers. Anyway, cool. I'm going to go over to my workbench. I'd love to know what you guys are up to, so do get involved in the live chat this evening. So taking you over here. So I've got a piece of paper out here because I'm probably going to be using the airbrush for a little bit, and I don't like to spray directly onto my work mat here. Let me know if anything is out of focus or the lights are too bright, but I think I've got it all dialed in pretty well today. But do let me know if you're struggling to see anything. And of course last week the music was a bit too loud over Luke, so let me know as well if there's anything that I can do to kind of enhance your viewing pleasure. What I've got here is a couple of the tracks for my 1/35th Tamiya Panther. They're like a rubbery plastic. I'm assuming that they're going to be plastic, because the idea is that you would use sort of poly cement on them. Maybe I'm going to use super glue because I'm not sure, and I'm not going to read the instructions. Noob. The idea is that you kind of paint them all up, get them to what you want, to the standard that you want, and then on the inside here you've got this little tab that sticks out, and it has all the teeth for the interior, and then little button bits, little tabs and buttonholes, and then you kind of push it together, smush it in, bit of glue, and then hopefully it should be a seamless fit. That's what I hope. We shall see. But before I kind of put them on, because they got to go onto the tank and then I've got to wrap them all around, it's going to be really difficult to paint. I'm going to paint them now, and then I'm going to do them that way. Here is the Panther itself. I haven't done anything to it for such a long time, and I really want to kind of move forwards with it. I've started to, as you can probably see, there's a lot of definition in a lot of the detail. I started to do a lot of the pin shading in it, or the pin washing. That's more on the front end of it. So the cannon's got a little bit down here, probably needs a bit more at the muzzle end. There's definitely stuff around the hatches. I've done the turret, so that the turret apart from the muzzle's pretty much done. I need to focus a lot of effort on the kind of engine bays, engine grills, whatever you want to call them, and the sort of air purification, air conditioning, yeah. And they've got all these little bits of details here. All these are little engine hatches. They all need to be kind of pin washed, and then there's some details on the back with all the exhausts and various paraphernalia here. That all needs to be pin washed, and then underside as well, where all the wheels are going to go on. They're not fixed in place yet. I've actually got a big box full of all the wheels down there. They need to be pin washed. I was struggling a bit with the pin wash, trying to get it to go where I wanted it to, and it was kind of reminding me of the harrowing experiences that I've had with non-oil. But through a little bit of research, it wasn't hard to find. A lot of people have recommended, and I see exactly why, is to put a bit of gloss varnish on. You could do satin varnish, or gloss varnish is even better, because it basically gives you a very glassy sort of surface for you to move your wash or your shade or whatever it is around. Basically, less microscopic lumps and bumps for it to kind of hold on to and stop it from being moved around. It's just like doing it on glass, essentially. So with the wheels, before I pin wash those, I'm going to do a test on them. I'm going to do gloss varnish on them, do a pin wash on those, get them in place. Hopefully by then the tracks will be done, and then that can just all go on, and then I consider the underside of the tank kind of completed. I'll of course have the skirts, or as the Germans like to call them, Schürzen. I hope I pronounced that right. Let me know if I haven't. I feel very embarrassed. I'm so sorry. Okay, yeah, cool. So what I need to do is I need to get some colours for these. Now, as I've said in the past, I've just kind of, on the smaller tanks I've painted, 28mm, I've just kind of done them a dark brown. On the 15mm, I've just used the shadow yellow colour from my modulation yellow set, just because they're small and it's just a nice colour to do. But I picked out a few of my other paints from my Vallejo Air range, and these are some colours that I thought would be worth giving a try. So I've got Earth colour, which is the first colour that I'm drawn to, but it's a very light colour and I don't think it's going to be appropriate, but it might be worth it, so I'm just going to have a little play with those and see what it's like. I've also got Charred Brown, which is very, very dark, and I think this is the colour that I'm going to go with. And then I've also got Dark Flesh Tone, which is quite reminiscent of the contrast Guilliman's Flesh from Citadel, but I don't have that out right now, so I can't compare it. Whoops. So yeah, those are the three that I'm going to give a shot. I'm just going to basically spray them on this piece of paper and have a little look, and then once I'm happy with whatever colour I'm going to choose, I'll give them a test go on the tracks and see what it's like. Then I've got various different weathering things that I've selected to kind of use. Today I've got Rust Streaks, which is a very dark rust. You can see the pattern on the back here. These are enamel paints from AK Interactive. These are the paints that really sold me on AK. I think they're a wonderful, wonderful brand. Yeah, they're absolutely solid. I've used this before on a lot of my 28mm builds. It's a fantastic stuff. I've also got Light Rust, which is that more orangey colour. As you can see the difference here between the two. Look at that tone difference. They're really nice colours. So what I want to do is I want to basically use my browns to kind of emulate or represent kind of like just soil, dirt and rust and grime. This might be enough on its own. It might help with that kind of rust colour on top of this, and then to kind of get that spotted orangey colour, using it really sparingly all the way through, I'm going to use the light rust one here. And this is a really nice colour. I've used this just a little bit, but I think it'll be really nice popping out on these tracks. I've also got Streaking Grime, which is just like a dirty, greasy kind of weathering effect. It's quite similar to the rust, but as you can see here from the pictures on the back, at the very least, is that the rust is a bit more orangier because I don't know, rust. I'm not a scientist, but yeah. So these two together are a really beautiful combination. So I've kind of picked those out just to have a play, see what happens. I've also got Track Wash. Now this is a bit of a mystery to me because I bought this thinking. Well, I wasn't thinking, and that's why I bought it, really. So I thought that this would be the enamel wash that I would need. I would paint a basic colour down, and then I would basically sludge wash the whole thing with this product. And I tried it on a 28mm build, and it did nothing apart from just make a smelly mess. And I was like, oh, I wonder what I've done. So I started doing a bit of research on it, and from what I could gather, I think, and I'm fairly certain I'm wrong as well, I think this is something that you just basically smother all over the metal tracklings that you can buy, and it corrodes the surface slightly so that your other paints kind of bond to it better. But in a little bit of inspection just before the show started, I think that's wrong still, because it has a colour. It's not just a chemical that corrodes metal, and here there's a colour on this drag. So I pulled it out and I thought, do you know what, we'll have a go, and if it leaves a nice colour despite what its intended purpose is, it could be really useful. So yeah, we'll have a little look at that as well. Before then, let's have a look at the comments. Luke says he is still painting the sister from last week. He's managed to fix the sword and almost get all the back colours down. Oh, brilliant, fantastic. Because if you remember last week, Luke said that you're basically on the property market as such for miniatures, which is buy a cheap miniature, do it up, sell it on for a bit more than what you bought it for, use the money and the profit to buy another model which is more expensive, so on and so forth, to eventually building up to a knight, which retail price in the UK is about £100. So that would be really interesting to see how you go on that little journey. Don't forget, put some pictures up of the projects that you're doing. I'd love to see them. Get them up there on Facebook or in Discord later on. Jeff says, be warned, super glue does melt some things. That's a really good point, so I will do a little tester on that in a little while. Do you know what I should do is read the instructions, but I don't know if I've got them here. Oh yeah, I do. Let's get painting. I don't want to faff around with any of that business, so I'm just going to move my Panther away because I don't want to get any overspray on her. It is a her, why not? Okay, I'm not using the wet palette today, so I've got my other palette on the side here. And for now, I'm just going to be playing around with some acrylics from my air range here, and I'm going to see what colours work best. I've also got another jar. I ran out of tapenade earlier on. Tapenade. So I've got a little bit of washing up liquid and some water in there, because I know that I'm going to be ruining my other water pot over here if I start putting white spirit and stuff in there when I'm cleaning my brushes down. So, okay, right, first things first, I don't necessarily want to just fill up an airbrush with a colour. I just want to do like a little spot test of these colours, and maybe you guys can help decide which colour looks best. I suppose it's very difficult for you to help me decide because it's kind of what I want, but you never know. You might have an opinion that's valuable. Okay, so that's the charred brown. That's the darkest one I think I've got. I quite like that. I knew that was going to be probably the one that I went with. And then I've got dark flesh tone, which now it's out of the pot looks a little on the bright side, but it might be good as a bit of right, if I was to spray that one down, then maybe use the other charred brown as a bit of a shadow for it perhaps. And then earth, which is very, it's not even chocolatey, it's very light. Yeah, that's way too light. That's almost like a weathering colour that I'd put on there. Let's move them around a little bit with a brush and just, I suppose, see what they're like. That's a very grimy colour, that one there. I'm quite into that. Let's wash that off quickly. I've got ever so slight cold. I think it's actually a little bit of pollen today, so if I'm sniffing a little bit today, I'm really sorry. It's gross, I know, but you know, what can you do? I've also got a little scar on my head. It was looking pretty bad the other day, but it's not so bad now. I went surfing with some friends on Monday. I wiped out on a wave, and my leash kind of pulled it back into me, and I pulled it back, not realising how hard I pulled, and I pulled the fin straight back into my face, and then for the entire time I was in the ocean, apparently one side of my face was just blood. So apologies for looking a bit on the ugly side, uglier than I normally am. Okay, the middle brown there, yeah, I think that's still too light. I'm gonna have to go with that charred brown, you know. I'm liking it. Go with what you like, right? And then there's the earth brown, which, yeah, that is just far too pale. It's very much a weathering kind of a colour if I was to use it at all. Right, Well, I'm happy with that. That's a good start. So, charred brown it is then. Here's charred brown, that's what it's called, isn't it? Yep, Vallejo Game Air Charred Brown. If you want to know the product code for it, you can always play it back later on and pause right here. Charred brown, there you go. Of course, you can get this in the non-air range, and they come with little grey caps on the top. So, I'm going to get my trusty airbrush. Make sure I've got enough hose here because it's going under a box. Wonderful. All clean from the last episode. Having a lot of problems with my airbrush lately because I just think misuse over the months, but yeah, years as well. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to put in a little bit more flow improver than I normally do in an attempt to try and prevent the paint inside the paint chamber drying too early, and that should give me, I don't know, a bit of better experience airbrushing. I have been looking at new airbrushes as well, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on. I'm just going to put in, an amount. I don't really care. Normally I count it. I'm going to put in a couple of drops of flow improver. Adrian has said he's working on his Dunkelgelb. Okay, so Dunkelgelb. I'm sorry if I ruin that word as well. This is going to be my theme for the entire night. Dunkelgelb. I find it difficult to say that. So to put the first coat Dunkelgelb on the outside, lower hull, got a pot of Ammo Migs Track Wash. Wonder if it's the same stuff. It's very likely, very likely. Did you buy it with the intention of it being a weathering solution or as a metal corrosion solution? Be interested to know your view on it, really. Let's stop that from dribbling. There we go. So 3 drops of flow improver in there. See where that takes us. Do I put a bit of thinner in there? Not right now, no, because these Game Air paints are really thin as it is. Give it a good mix inside the paint chamber in there. I realise that actually the position of my camera is a little bit further back today, and it's making it a little bit awkward to reach. Let's see if I can. No, that's the wrong direction. What if I go this way? Very slight. Okay, cool, whatever. Just need to move my camera a bit more, I suppose. Okay, I think that's mixed enough in there. Wash that brush out. Okay. It's a nice colour. It's going to be a bit tricky to see it at first on these tracks, I think, but let's just go for it. Okay, I know I'm getting a nice bit of coverage, even though the colour is quite similar to the actual material underneath. I know I'm getting a good spray because I can see a bit of overspray on the sides here. And as I'm moving along, I can see that I've actually started to matte the surface because the actual material itself is quite shiny, quite glossy. I really like the smell of the Vallejo acrylics, and that's probably a bad thing to say. It's quite a pleasant smell, but it's probably, I think they are non-toxic, but it's still probably not that great for you. Okay, I can see the difference now where I've been a bit more intense in some areas. I can see that it's I can see the colour difference there. I'm trying not to be too heavy, though I suppose on tracks it doesn't really matter because they're going to build up a lot of kind of, I suppose, dirt and filth on there. But at the same time, I don't really want to kind of smush too much of the detail away. I'm deliberately going away from heavily weathered tracks just because, again, it's my first 1/35th build. I could do like heavy snow, heavy mud, etc., etc. I'm just going to go for that kind of coloured or stained effect rather than too much mud. I do have mud weathering. I've just decided to not do it on this build. I did do it on some of my 28mm builds because I rushed making the tracks and they were full of holes, so I just caked it in the stuff. And a mix of plaster and basically mud colour. But AK also do modeling mud in a pot, and it's amazing stuff. So maybe in a future build I might do like a little diorama, or just do like muddy tanks and stuff. Could be quite cool. As Adrian said, something a possible weathering, might have to test it out on one of my Lehman Rust battle tanks. Yeah, if you've got like a spare model somewhere along the line, give it a test. Always give it a test. Okay, that's a good first coat there. So what I'll do is I'll just move that one over there, and I'll bring this one in here and let that top one dry, and then I'll turn them over. Okie dokie. Excuse me, my sniffles. Dunkelgelb. See, I have this feeling that if I try to do the accent, I might just end up being like rude. Come and see me in the After 8 party and tell me how to say things. I'm sorry. Going through that paint quite quickly. Probably have to do a little top up in a second. I am being quite heavy with it because it's quite hard to see where I'm going. They should have done the tracks in some sort of like neutral tone plastic perhaps. There we are, I'm out. So I'll give it a quick flush through. Just a little bit of water here. Purge chamber. Just give that a flush through. Darren's joined us. Hi guys. Hi Darren. Thanks for coming along. Doing the Panther again tonight, mate. Glad you could make it. Adrian says, might have one or two spare battle tanks. Yeah, I've seen your tank collection. You have quite a few, don't you? You have a tank problem, sir. You have an army problem. That's what you've got. Can't stop the hobby, man. Can't stop the hobby. Okay, so a bit more of that charred brown. Charred brown. Again, just going to put just a solid amount of that colour in there. I'm actually really into this colour already. And then again, just 3 drops of flow improver. 1, 2, 3. A little bit on the side there. There you go. I just need to dry my other brush off a second. Just pop that there. Actually, I'm feeling the energy of the hobby today. Because the last couple of weeks, I just feel like I've got into a bit of a rut, got a bit static with the Tyranids. Takes a long time, little bitty projects, whatever. This is one of those reasons why I need to have lots of projects to do at the same time. Because when you get into a bit of a spot with one of them, it's nice just to be able to kind of duck out and go and do another, and I'm feeling the positive hobby feeling right now, which is lovely. It's nice. I don't like the hobby to become a chore, and it can sometimes. It can be really hard to get through those things, which is why I started Easy 8. There we go. Got a bit of needle build up there. Let me just take the little protector off the end. Got a fresh cotton ball, and then boop, pretty much cleans the needle off. Now I am going to get myself some paint retarder, which actually really does slow the drying process down, and I should be using that rather than flow improver. This helps the paint move without watering it down too much like thinner will do. Thinner will literally thin the paint. I think flow improver was actually originally designed for brushwork, but obviously it's been adapted for airbrush use as well. And I see lots of different pros on YouTube kind of making mixtures, so that adding a drop of flow improver, adding a drop of paint retarder in, thinner and water. So, you know, after lots of practice, you kind of develop your own style, your own preference, and your own technique, I suppose, which I have yet to do, really, because I'm still playing with the products and just kind of getting to grips with some of them. But I would like to get some flow, sorry, not flow improver, paint retarder, and see the sort of difference that it makes. Adrian says, no, I don't. Yeah. Yeah, you do, boy. But it's okay. It's okay to have a hobby problem. I love it. Hey man, I started my own show. Did I make the show for you, or did I make the show for me? Is it me that was crying out for the company and motivation? Yes, is the correct answer there. Okay, just pull that along a bit further. Okay, I really like this colour. I hope that it's showing up well on the screen enough for you to see. I do know that obviously it's quite bright where I've shined it, but yeah, hopefully you can see the colour. It's really nice. It's a good colour to use. It's not like I'm going for hyper realism on this tank. I'm using modulation colours, and as I've said in the past, it's that technique of painting isn't for realism. It's to enhance realism. So yeah, it doesn't have to be like a photograph. It should look like an artistically altered photograph, I suppose. Oh wow, these tracks are actually really grippy on the surface that I'm dragging them over. Come on. So I was in my car the other day driving around, and as car drivers are wont to do, and a load of military vehicles all drove past me, and they're all like APCs with tracks and things on. It was great to see. Great reference if I had to look at it for just 3 seconds before it went past. It was steaming past me. Brilliant it was. I live quite near a marine base, so we see, you know, various vehicles, and I suppose there's other, you know, military branch bases nearby as well. So we see a lot of it around here, but not on the roads like that. That was kind of cool. Don't know what they were doing. Probably just some sort of traveling to some sort of exercise. Who knows? Right. What I definitely want to make sure that I hit with the spray is the actual outside edges. So like, you know, here on the sides, because obviously those are the bits that are going to be really viewable, really seeable. You're going to see them. So yeah, I want to make sure that I get those as well. But obviously quite saturated here at the moment, so gonna probably just let them dry a little bit. I'll blow some air on first, clear off this needle. A couple of extra drops of flow improver does seem to be working, which is kind of good, but I still want to buy that other product just to make sure. What I could do with it is really like having a little like a little travel hair dryer. You see a lot of that with the pros on YouTube and on Twitch, and I think it's a definite must-have. It doesn't have to be like a big, you know, blow your head off kind of expensive one. Just a little pokey travel one. Stick it in your suitcase, that kind of effort, and it'll really help. Just a mild heat with a little bit of air, because this is cold air coming out of the airbrush here, and it seems to really help speed it all along. I'm actually just going to manhandle my webcam here, so apologies for the sudden jerky movements, because I think it's a little bit easier to show you what's going on. There we go. Physically move things around a little bit. Bring some lights in. You see those colours a little bit better now. Cool. That's a bit better, isn't it? Alright. Let's keep getting some air going on here. Come back to that track in a minute. Let's move back to this top one up here. And because I was able to kind of direct the airbrush from this side here, so I'm just going to turn it around. Oh no, because I suppose I was spraying from this side as well, so I should have got on the side. What do I think? Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn it around this side here because the teeth probably need to be hit from both sides, don't they? Just trying to think of every possible thing that could go wrong and make sure that I account for it when I'm painting. What I'm going to do later on is I'm going to scrape the inside of the join here with a scalpel blade later on, because there is paint on there. I want to make sure that I'm not just joining paint to paint. I want the two surfaces to be adhered together. Though most of these teeth on the inside of these track links are probably not going to be seen because of where they're going to be, but if they do show up, I want to make sure that there is plenty of colour on them as well, because if you miss one tiny little thing, or one tiny little thing is substandard around everything else, you'll see it. It'll really stand out, as I'm sure you all know. And I just want to make sure that I'm not giving myself problems later on down the line. Okay, so the same on here then. So I'll flip this bad boy around. Wonderful. Just make sure that again are good. Coverage on the teeth there. Excellent. Rather than dragging it, I'll just pick and lift them up. And I'm out of paint. I can kind of give some pulses. Try and get stuff out of the chamber in there. There we go. You know what, I'm happy with that. Satisfied. Okay, so that is this base colour down. I hope you can see this colour well. I think it works. It's a good colour. It is very close to the colour of the material, but it is slightly different. It's the kind of colour that I would like. Good start, Danny. Let's put a bit of cleaner through here. So now the idea is to, I suppose, wait for that to dry. Perhaps I should give it a quick varnish. Maybe. Darren says that he's doing a bit of pin washing this evening. Fantastic. I love pin washing. It highlights all the detail and it makes the model look so much nicer. Really looking forward to seeing it, mate. So if you've got some photographs at the end of tonight, stick them on over Facebook or come and join us. Like, because Darren joins us most weeks on the Easy 8 after party. Come and yeah, show us then. That'd be really cool. Because the truck that you're building is magnificent. Bravo, well done to you, sir. It looks really, really good. I hope that my Panther comes out just even somewhere near looking like the quality of your model. Because of course, as you've shown and talked about before, the canvas on the back of the truck is all like scratch built by paper napkins and PVA and things. It looks brilliant. So yeah, really looking forward to seeing how that turns out. Right. What do you reckon? A bit of varnish, perhaps? A little bit of varnish, bit of satin, maybe? To kind of... I don't know. Some nice colour on there. I'll blow it with some air from it, just to make sure that everything else is dry. Get all that water out of there before I put that all over it. There we go. Okay. Right. I think I'm going to hit it with some varnish. I think that's what I need to do, because if I start brushing over it, this material being quite soft might give way, might let the paint kind of come away from it. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a varnish. I'm gonna go over. Do I go over with a bit of gloss? Do you know, I'm gonna play it safe. I'm gonna go with a bit of satin just first. Before I go too far, I'm gonna make sure that the hopper is clear. Do a bit of a clean in there. Let's, couple of drops of neat cleaner. I can just see, just by kind of spraying on the paper, is it heavily stained with paint in there? Does it need a bit of a scrub down? Probably not right now. And always put a bit of water through after cleaner, because you'll be putting cleaner onto your models. Right now, and I just wipe the inside of the actual hopper out, because otherwise it could form a skin, and I'll be just pushing that right through the airbrush, as I've discovered I've probably been doing in the past. That's better, right. Screw that on. Chuck a bit more water in there. Flush it through properly. Wonderful. Okay. Put that aside just for a second. Give the satin varnish a shake. Just an acrylic from Vallejo that you can use by brush or by airbrush. And I always go through varnish pretty quickly, so I put a bit more in there than I would think that I need to do. Would need to use. Sorry, I'm not thinking my words pretty properly. You get what I'm trying to say. Is you go through it fast and you think you would. I do anyway. Perhaps I need to turn the pressure down when I'm varnishing, but I'm just going to do these little bits here, so I'm not really going to worry about it too much. I will put a little bit of flow improver in here because it wants to dry faster than paint does. I have discovered. And I'm just going to try and make a quick pass over it, just to give it a little bit more strength, resilience. There we go. It's really quite hard to see where you are spraying matte varnish or satin varnish. So I actually try to look for the jet that's coming out, because that comes out quite misty, and you can actually see the sort of flow of the varnish coming out. Obviously, when you're spraying gloss down, it comes out quite shiny, so you can see, unless you're spraying onto another shiny surface, you can see quite clearly where it's landing. Okay, that's that top side done there. I'll bring in the bottom track here. I've got a little mini beast running around on my desktop over there. Hello fella, see you later. Don't get varnished now. British summertime, lots of little flies. Okay, that's the top side of that track done. So, come back here. He's still running around over there. Just put a bit of air on there. just try to blow the little fly away. There you go. Come on, don't get sprayed with paint now. This is where Defra or Peter get in contact with me now. Stop airbrushing flies. It was just a there, gentle. Okay, and now for the underside. I'm not going to worry too much about it. How much have I got left in there? Oh, a fair amount. Because my worry is that when I paint, once I've painted them and I'm really happy with them, is that when I kind of pull them into position and they're going to have to be dragged across the wheels, and the two wheels at the ends will rotate to allow to kind of assist with that. But my fear is that they kind of get snagged and then they end up just kind of peeling the paint off. That would be awful, and has happened to me before. Not building tanks, actually helping Jeff build a German railway station as a part of a customer build. I did all the painting for the rails and basically everything to do with the track, so the railway sleepers and the gravel and the rails themselves, and I spent ages painting all the individual rails, slid them into position and just scraped them down to the bare plastic, which I expected, which was stupid, but yes, it happened. So ever since then really I kind of have nightmares about physically moving painted pieces into place over other surfaces. And I know that this isn't going to be as rough handled as that particular item that I was talking about was. There was a very tight fit that those rails were kind of going into, but there's still the potential for it, so you know, I kind of want to protect it, but also it's going to hopefully help with any kind of washing, you know, and sort of weathering in a minute. Bit of heavy varnish there, it's kind of got a bit cloudy. Let's just put a bit of air on there. Got a nice flow going on the airbrush today, which is good. Still got quite a bit of varnish left in there, so I'll do what I did with the paint and I'll turn around 180 to get the other side of the teeth here. Don't drag them. Wonderful. And now the bottom one as well. Just that last little pass now. And I do have to give the airbrush quite a good clean after putting varnish through, because it's resin, so it will set quite hard. A little bit further now. Cool, got a bit of a process, all quite speedy. Excellent. Just purge that, get the last of that out. Wonderful. Right. Put a bit of neat cleaner in here. Now the varnish doesn't create a skin very much like the paint will, so I don't mind kind of cramming the cleaner with the brush straight into the hopper, because it's not like a film of paint on the inside of the hopper or anything like that. It's just, yeah, a little pool at the bottom which could solidify, and then it kind of coats the needle as well on that tiny little gap where the air would come out, and it just creates a bit of a blockage. And then after a very, very short space of time, builds up and builds up. Let's make sure that needle's cleaned down. Excellent. I'll just put a bit of water through there as well. Just to push that cleaner through. brilliant. So now I'm going to have a little look at the weatherings, the stains, the washes, the grimes and things. So the brown colour that I've got, I don't know if I need to use the streaking grime on them. It's a really nice colour, but I feel it might just be a little bit lost. So what I might do is I might just slather rust streaks, which is my darker rust colour. I might just kind of slather it all over and see how that goes. And then I might, if that comes out a bit too bright, I could probably tone it down by doing like a streaking grime in the same fashion all over it. And then I can do like little highlights and just kind of brush this lightly in some areas. And then I can do some exposed metal bits as well. So yeah, let's do, or should I ever go with this? I don't know where to start. Any suggestions? I'm listening. This one seems to have a colour with this stuff going on top, so maybe I'm going to use this one first. If you think differently, do say. don't be quiet and let me make all these mistakes. Do have to give these a really good shake, so yeah, do if you are using them. Let's just find an appropriate brush for it. This one here is a really good one. This is a really cheap Dale Brownie brush, and it's sable, and I picked it up for like £2, so it's quite soft. Hello, Mr. Fly, go away. Trying to steal my limelight. I don't want you to be painted. He's not on the guest spot. Sorry. Okay. So they've got this little seal on the top here, which I can just pop up in a minute. But you can see that this has got a colour to it, right? Which is what made me think maybe it is for actually staining colours and things. Just gonna get a little thin knife under the edge here. Don't cut yourself on live telly now, Danny. Come on. That really doesn't want to come away. Ah, there it is. But now I've got it on my fingers and I don't want to pass that on everything, so I'm just going to clean my hands off. Go away. It's my show, you're not supposed to be on here. So yeah, it's got a colour, it's got almost a texture to it. You can see it all built up in there. So I'm going to give it a go, unless you guys say don't. Jeff says dark brown first. You can go over with the wash after if you need. Yeah, I mean, this is the darkest brown colour that I've got. The streaking grime is a nice thing to kind of weather with and shade with. Let me just kind of, I was just going to get a bit out on the paper and I suppose just see what it's like. So yeah, that's a really nice brown to be putting on here. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna live life on the edge. First things first, I think I want to put some thinner over here. I've got some spirit, but I've got more thinner than I have spirit, so I'm going to use this stuff. I'm going to get a different brush. I've got a flat brush here somewhere. I had it prepared. There it is. It's just on. It was on edgeways, so I couldn't see that it was like that. But you've got a flat one. So I'm going to get a bit of thinner. It doesn't have to be like everywhere. You can just kind of go on lightly. So I'm just gonna I'll do like one end. This might not be the best brush actually. I do probably a larger one. I was just basically going to do one section at the end and just see how it goes. I'm going to come back to this brush later because it's not what I want. I've got a bigger, wider one here. don't want to be going on super heavy, because it will just thin down the paint that I put on. But it's quite hard to get like a thin layer on such a textured surface. So by the time I got to here, this bit over here will be easy to do. It'll be the correct sort of consistency, if you like. And then by the time I work down with the colour, it'll be a bit better there. So if I just go to here, Darren's also said, I think it would work better over a rust colour. Okay. Yeah, maybe you're right. But my rust colour is really... is it? No, you're right. You're right. Listen to the community, Denny. They're trying to help you. Don't be a douche. Okay, this is probably a very good time for me to get my little palette out here on the side. Let's put the track wash away. And let's come back to the rust. This one also is a bit sealed tight. Michael Turner, evening all. Hi Mike, hope you're well mate, thanks for coming along. We're just a few minutes out really from taking a quick interval, but I'm just going to do this first because you guys have suggested it. Here's the actual, I can't really see in there very well. Yeah, it's a really nice weathering product. I really recommend having a real look into all the enamels that you can get out there. Just trying to find a brush that's going to be really good for picking a good amount of this out. Got a really big, I call it a tank brush here. Just going to put a big blob of that in there. I don't like working from the pot with these ones here because they settle, and yeah, that can, well, you just have to keep shaking them every 30 seconds. That's just a bit rubbish really. So could do with having a bit of white spirit over here as well. Let's get a bit of that in there. There we go. So I can clean my brushes out. Fortunately, I've got odor free because there's a lot of white spirit and stuff here right now. Okay, let's just do this. I don't want it to be like everywhere, so I might go back over with a bit of thinner and kind of move it around as well. See how that kind of goes. I'm being quite liberal. It's quite hard to get it into all the little dips and divots and things. Let me come in a bit closer here. I'll do a little zoom in so it's a bit easier to see. Yeah, hopefully. I'll just adjust my focus for you. There, that's a bit better, isn't it? Now we can see. Bring my light in a bit. So, yeah. Maybe using this brush, though it applies really well, it's just a bit small. I might actually just go straight over to the tank brush that I was just talking about. Let's pop this one over here. It's got a really good... Yeah, that's... Whilst being probably a bit overkill, it's just much faster. And I can come over with a bit of thinner in a minute and just kind of calm it down and spread it out a bit perhaps. This is why I like having so many different types of brushes. There's always the perfect brush for every job. I'm sure Darren and I were talking about that a little while ago. There's always the brush that you need to have. Perhaps it was Jeff that was saying it. Okay, back to the thinner. there. I'll get a layer of that on the bottom end over here. Now the reason I'm putting thinner down before the paint on there is to help the capillary action, which is what enamels are really good for. When you put a blob down, it kind of just hits and it spreads out, but it goes into all the recesses, which is really good for pin washing. And if you have a thinner down, or even a spirit like a white spirit, it helps draw it out, so that you get like just really good coverage. I don't have to be putting it down. And because I'm doing a very different style of washing here, I'm not doing any kind of pin washing, it probably doesn't really matter an awful lot. But go with what you know, right? So, and I've never really done it all that successfully, so I'm not going to start doing it in a different way just yet. It seems to be working alright up there. Okay. Pop the lid on that before I knock it over, because that would be disastrous. And then back to the rust colour here, which I seem to have gone through pretty quickly actually. Let's actually work straight from the pot. Oh, knock my lights and spray it everywhere. What I'm also trying to not do is get it to pool up too much or create air bubbles. I don't want anything like that. Even though probably on most areas of the tracks it's probably going to be hidden, because it'll either be behind the side skirts, it'll be underneath the tank. The only parts of the track you're really going to see are the front and the back sections. But I don't want there to be any kind of possibility of like that particular part that shows having something that's wrong with it. And also just for good practice, I know that it's going to be under the tank or hidden away, and I just kind of want to do my best, just trying to push my own skills that little bit further. Anyway, this is going really well. I'm going to carry on doing this for a minute. Might even go and grab myself another drink. Darren says mud paint fixes all. Yeah, you're right. That's I said earlier on in the show before you came on. That's why I've used mud paint in the past. I'm trying to avoid doing too much with the kind of mud particles and things like that on this particular model. So not today. Anyway. Yeah, we'll have a quick break so that I'm not just sitting here talking or watching me paint the boring section here. So yeah, we'll pop away, have a little break. If you need to go to the bathroom, get a fresh drink or give your eyes a break, perhaps you need to go change your paint water, you should absolutely go and change your paint water. I've just realised that there's a window there for Luke. He's not here this week. I'm rubbish at this. Anyway, see you in about 10. Cheers. welcome back. I didn't go much further than just painting here. Got a little glass of water so I can keep myself thirst free. I spilled it everywhere. Yep, I'm a bit of a klutz tonight. So basically at the moment this colour is really, really good. So if you're out there and you're wanting to learn how to do tracks, or you're trying to find a bit of a recipe that works well for you, this seems to be doing really well. I like the fact that it's so good shout from you guys, thank you very much, but the rust colour saturated over that kind of base brown is a really good kind of recipe. The fly is still here. Go away, you're going to get yourself killed, man. Yeah, it's a really good colour to have on there. It's got that slight orangey nature coming through behind the mid to dark brown colour. Excuse me. And I'm happy that I put that base of brown down beforehand, because if there's an area where it's not going to show, or it's not good, that rust colour isn't going to hang on to, then at least there's a base colour behind it, for all the same reasons that you would be using base colours and putting other colours over the top. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. What I think I'm going to do is I'm torn between using the light rust and having a go with the track wash. I want to see if the track wash is going to kind of tarnish it and add a bit more definition to it all as well. Do I put light rust on in some spots and kind of have those bright orangey areas to it that would look really cool? If so, do I put the track wash over the top of that to kind of tone it down? Probably not, because those bright patches are often really bright and not tarnished themselves. Like bright orange rust is normally quite fresh, isn't it? But I'm just waiting for it to dry because I've saturated it. It's all taking its time. It's getting there. I've just been blasting it with the airbrush just for a little bit of air to kind of assist it. The last one I've just done is a little bit thicker, I think. Anyway, I'm feeling pretty good about turning this over. I just don't want it to stick to the paper or any other surface. I've got another sheet of paper here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that one down because I've run out of space for painted things to lie on. Let me put this one under here. Yeah, that's a bit better. And I can pull this one over as well. You guys can't see what I'm doing, so I'm going to take you back over to the workbench. Here I am. Normally at this part of the show, I say normally, I haven't done it for a while, but normally I would like to save this part of the show for community spotlight, you know, shout outs, things like that. I haven't done a community spotlight for quite some time, and that is just basically because I've just been very, very busy. No one's particularly reached out for it. That doesn't happen very often anyway. Normally it's me kind of seeing something and wanting to talk about it because they've done something really cool. That hasn't happened for a while because I've been at work a lot, which is fine. That's okay with me. I hope it's okay with you. However, if you have a model that you have recently done, or you found one that you haven't really recently done, and you want to talk about it, you want it to be shown off on the show, that's what we're here for, man. This is a community program show thing. I'm more than happy to kind of give you the limelight, the spotlight, if you will, and just put some photographs up of it. We've had some excellent stuff up here in the past from people in our community. Kyle and myself have put our own things up here because we want to talk about them and show off our victories, whatever. Even if you're just looking for a little bit of criticism, or you want some suggestions for something, then you know that's what we're here for. So yeah, by all means, get in contact, drop us a line, and hopefully in the next week or two I will be able to bring to you some of the stuff that I have seen recently that I want to show off, because some of the stuff I see out there in the community is just incredible, and I want to celebrate it. That's what I want this show to be about. So yeah, that's Community Spotlight. Get in touch if you want to show us something. Also, I like to give shout outs to people who have their own businesses, because there's a lot of private businesses out there in this hobby for people who make their own terrain. Jeff, for example, my dad, has Pepperline Creations, he makes bespoke one-off, custom-made, tailor-made to customers' requirements, buildings and terrain features and all sorts of stuff. And it's wonderful. But maybe you want some, maybe you know someone who does their own laser cut buildings and things. Maybe you've just seen some stuff and it just looks really cool and you want to give them a shout out. Let me know who they are, because I will sing praises about them and I have done for various other people in the past. And if you want to see any of the places or the businesses that we shouted out in the past, then have a look at the description of this video, because all the links are still in there. Obviously, we've got some of the more recent ones. Gav, GeForce Models, there's Dice Saga is another YouTube group who do some wonderful battle reports and stories. There's loads there, man. Go and have a little look. If you want us to talk about someone in particular, then let us know, because that's what we'll do here. And also, if you want to be a guest on Easy 8, we've had a couple of guests now. Luke last week, and yeah, just drop us a line if you want to come on and just have a chat and get your 2 hours of fame, whatever it is. You just want to be on the show. Just get in contact in the same ways that you normally always would. Get in contact with me on Facebook. You can get in contact with me, in the comments here, the live chat here. Drop us a line. While you're at it, maybe subscribe. Just those things. Bring a friend. Would love you to bring a friend. The community grows a little bit every now and then, and I love it. It is going on this side of the tracks much faster, because the topography, if I'm explaining that right, the detail is less on this side of the track, so it's just kind of just brushing on quite easily. And it's also going to be on the inside of the track, so you're not going to see so much of it. Perhaps there will be the bit at the bottom that you'll see quite well, but yeah. So we're almost done with this colour, which is wonderful. And also go back to Community Spotlight. Like I said at the beginning of the show, if you come along to the show and you don't necessarily do this particular hobby, but you enjoy being a part of it, I know that there are a couple of canvas painters out there who watch this show. I know that Jeanette, Adrian's wife, I know that she just likes to listen to the show, and sometimes she does her own hobby, which is like those little crystal craft things. It's wonderful stuff, that is. I love it. It's so detailed and the pictures are so cool. If you want to be a part of, if you want to have your stuff shown off for Community Spotlight and that, again, just say, and I'm more than happy to kind of, talk about it and praise your work publicly and get everyone else to have a look at it, if you want that, of course. Right, I think that is a good enough covering there. And the problem with this, of course, is that it just takes quite a long time to dry. It's not as warm as it normally is in this room today, which is nice because it's quite comfortable. But it does mean that we're not getting a quick drying time on here. So I'm just going to blast it a bit more with the airbrush, and then I'll take the time to give my brushes a bit of a clean. Try not to splatter this stuff everywhere. It was quite thin. And now, there are people who put this stuff right through the airbrush as well, even though it's an enamel, because you can just use spirit thinners for enamel stuff like it's an oil paint if you want, and it works just as fine, and it will go through an airbrush. However, I'm a little bit, I don't know how to say it, I'm just a bit nervous about putting enamels through my airbrush, so I haven't done it yet, but I do see people on YouTube doing it, not all the time, but more than you would think people do. Just got to make sure that you clean your airbrush thoroughly afterwards, obviously. I just haven't got the nuts to do it yet, so yeah. Basically, I've seen people just spray on streaking grime, and then they get a brush with a little bit of thinner, and then just kind of wipe it over, and it just, if you're doing really grimy or really gritty, grim dark sort of paint schemes like Kyle does, it works so well. It's, yeah. I think people now in the community are kind of getting starting to get used to this streaking grime by AK. I've got a bit of a blur and a bit of a shine there on the camera, but I see people buying this in bulk now, just because they use so much of it and then just kind of wipe excess away. It's a really good sludge wash, and it is very effective, very effective. Give it a try. Who knows? Maybe it'll change your life. Maybe it'll be rubbish and you'll wonder why you ever listened to me. If that's the case, then give me your excess streaking grime, because I love it. So, yeah, just trying to speed up that drying process by blowing it around as well. I suppose I'm making sure that it goes into areas where it might have missed. Got a bit heavy in the middle there, got a bit of splash just there. I think what I'm going to do now is I'll go back onto the other side, let this side have a bit of drying time, and I'm going to have a little go with the track wash and see if it is something that helps colour wise. See what happens. Let me just wash this brush out here because it's full of rust colour. And this is why, of course, I've brought my other water down with a bit of washing up liquid in there, because if you start putting this in your other paint water, it just leaves an oily film on the top, and that's just rubbish. So now I can wash off my normal water now. And I'm going to make sure that at the end of the show that I'm going to really give all my brushes a really thorough clean, because I just don't like spirits lingering around in my nice soft brushes. So I've got my the brush cleaner from Green Stuff World. It just seems to be a really good cleaner. I really recommend it if you fancy giving it a try. Right, just turn these back over. It's quite hard to tell if they're dry or not, because these enamels do tend to dry with a little bit of a sheen on them. I could also have a little bit more of the stuff I put on the other side kind of running through, so just a bit more air on there. A hairdryer I think would be really good right now. Perhaps I should have asked my partner, hey, can I borrow your hairdryer for the show? Okay. Alright, I'm a little bit nervous about this because I really like that effect I've got there, and it's taken an hour of the show just to get there. But I really want to see what this stuff does. I want to see what sort of effect it has. So I'm going to try it on just a small section first, and perhaps just over here, just see where we go. Right, I'm going to give it another shake. Pop you there. Brush. Just load a little bit into my palette over here. Maybe it's just not. I don't know. Is it the right colour to be used? The right colour to be using on top of? I just don't know. Perhaps I need to give it another varnish. These are all good questions. I'm going to give it a matte varnish, because a matte varnish will definitely tell me that it is dry. That's what I'm going to do. Let's do this. This is why it takes me so long to finish my projects, is because I'm always just testing and playing and seeing where, you know, what does what, and so many different combinations of just a couple of different things that you can have, like different weathering, you know, products. So back in with a matte varnish. Gonna give this a shot. I'm gonna give it a quick blast all over. And I'm going to put a couple of drops of flow improver in there as well. Two, three. Alright. Need to give that a mix. Right, okay, here we go. So the reason I'm doing this is because I just want to make sure that the paint that I've just put on, that enamel rust colour that I put on there, is not wet. I'm cheating essentially. I'm trying to cover over the wet stuff, and I know it works. It's not the best thing to do, and it's not the most efficient, but it's going to help me in the short space of time that I've got on this show to kind of get this enamel to dry. So I don't want it to mix the colours. I don't want it to, if there's a colour to this track wash, I don't want it to be tainted by the colour that I've already put down. And also, just by applying several layers of varnish, I'm just adding on to the protection, although enamel is really strong just by its very nature. I am getting quite a nice matte effect in some of the areas here, and the colours are really working, which is really good. It's quite hard for you guys to see there. I'm aware that I'm spraying out a shot right now, but I'm ad-libbing. I'm really just making this up as I go along, and I'm okay with that. This is what I really enjoy about the hobby. It's just that kind of experimentation, and sometimes it doesn't get you anywhere. And sometimes it can actually take you back a few steps. But today is one of those examples of it kind of working in my favour, really. Okay, that's pretty good coverage there. Yeah, another example of kind of making it up as I go along is, if you remember last week when I did my 15mm tanks, the camouflage on here, though I've had time to reflect on them and kind of sit there and look at them and look at other tutorials that are out there, I'm not actually as upset as I was about these. These are a disappointment from what I had in my imagination when I was painting them, but basically the modulation colours on this scale haven't worked, so I'm just going to use the darker of the colours. So the darkest green I've got, the darkest red I've got, and just try not to worry about modulating on this scale. That of course does leave me in a sort of state of I don't know what to do when it comes to this particular tank here. Do I do camo? Do I don't do camo? Because I've put so much effort into this tank so far. I could just ruin it by doing a really poor camo attempt over the top. And once it goes down, it goes down. There's very little you can do about it. Do I? Don't I? I mean, of course, I'm going to give it my best shot. But it's just about making sure that I get it right first time. The thing is the colours of the Dunkelgelb. Apologies if I'm making that sound awful. The problem with it is that I really like the effect and the colours that I've got down on the body of the tank so far. I could end up ruining everything. It's a real gamble. It's why I like the hobby, but at the same time, I just want it to be good first time round, you know? Don't want to have to do rescue jobs on it. Okay. Just because I've got a little bit of varnish left in there, let's just give it another. Just give it a bit more there. Okay, there we go. Just going to pop some cleaner through the airbrush, get all of that out there. Anyway, would love to know how your projects are going this evening. Are you being a bit more productive than I am? Though I'm having a lot of fun. Are you getting somewhere with all your stuff? Jeff says, possibly do the silver dry brush before you do the dark track wash. Yeah, I was wondering about that. I'm not going to do a very heavy dry brush with silver at all. In fact, I'm probably just going to spot pick a few bits out, and I'm going to do it in the I'm going to do it quite heavily in some of the areas where the bright rust will go, and then I'll give a light going over the whole tracks. On the smaller tanks, it hasn't worked very well at all, so I've not really done the dry brushing. I don't know how I'm going to approach that yet. But of course, all the raised areas on the tracks are going to be, you know, bright metal colours because they come into contact with the harder surfaces and it wears them down. I think that. But then, would it look really good if I did the track wash over the top? I just don't know. I just don't know what to do. Because clearly on this picture here, it's one of the first things that's being applied to the track. There's a colour of the track, and then there's this wash being put over it. I just don't know. I just don't know. I'm in a quandary now. Now you've said that. Do you know what? I'm going to do it the way you said, because it's working for me so far, isn't it? It's working for me so far. So, light rust then. Light rust. I'd love to see what any of you guys are doing out there, if you've done tracks, if you've gone through this sort of process before, something similar or something completely different. I'm genuinely really interested in this stuff. This really gets my motor going. If you've watched it in previous episodes, you know that for some reason I've got a fascination with armoured vehicles. I don't really understand why, where that fascination comes from, but this is the sort of stuff that I study in my free time, is the colours of tank tracks and the shape of wheels. I don't know why I do it. I'm just a bit weird, I suppose. So I'd love to know what your things are. And Adrian, like you're saying that you're watching this because you want to do it yourself. I'd love to know the process that you decided to take, and I'd love to see the effects as well. Just to kind of compare, or just to see what you've done would be great. Adrian has was going to say something along those lines. Jeff, going to do my test piece over Leadbelcher to see if that makes a difference. Obviously, Leadbelcher is the gunmetal colour by Games Workshop or Citadel. Jeff then says track wash will make the silver more gunmetal. You are right, but that's, yeah, we're going to go for this now. Okay, cool. Yeah, okay, the seal is still on there. I have used all these before, but obviously they reseal over time. Right, that seal's broken off there. Oh, it's just so interesting and fun. Look at this colour. It's lovely. I really like it. Now, I'm not going to go as mental as I did a minute ago with the other rust colour. I'm just going to wash this brush out with a bit of white spirit. Just because I want to use it for the other colour. Better wash it liquid in there. Clean that bad boy out in a bit of fresh water. Wonderful. There's a hell of a scum appearing in my soapy water now, so I'm glad I'm using that as an additional cleaning method. The enamels are great, but white spirit is just a really horrible chemical, and I don't really like it very much, but it's necessary. Okay, so let's just get a couple of blobs of this in my palette over here. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of blob it around and just see where it goes. More than anything, so perhaps, you know, some bits here. I'm not being really all that careful, or you know, in terms of covering it. And like you guys are saying, when I put this track wash on, if it does tarnish the colours down, it might just help it blend in a bit more. So yeah. Some really nice colours, as you can see, going in there. I'm really into all of these weathering products. They changed my life. And of course, you know, one of the things that we were looking at last week, Luke and I, is the paint rack. I really recommend it. It's a really wonderful tool to have. It's free. You can download it for free on the Google Play Store. I don't know if it costs anything. Standard on the Apple Store. but basically it just has every single paint from manufacturers that you know and others that you never knew existed, and it's just really interesting to see all the different colors that are available to you as a hobbyist out there, and it allows you to make little color wheels and stuff and see how they all kind of compare with each other across brands as well, which I think is absolutely flipping brilliant. Have a look. I bought the paid version because it allows you a little bit more options with it. It only costs me $4.99, GBP of course. Have a little look, see what you think, because I think it's, yeah, you can live without it. It's just a really decent tool, and a lot of work has gone into it. It's been made by some professional developers who are also into the hobby, and there's a link to it in the description of this video. Now I'm just being really random here. Perhaps there is a better approach with this weathering product. Perhaps this sort of brighter rust develops in other key areas on tracks and things. I haven't really gone that far into the research of that yet, because I'm still trying to work out my recipe, if you like. Every painter has their own recipe. Ask any painter, they'll tell you, I like to do this subject in this way, I like to do this subject in this way. So while I'm kind of working that out, I'm not really all that fussed about it at the moment, and like I say, with this build I'm just learning a lot of things, and I'm just having fun putting paint onto it. And what seems to be working down the other end that you can't really see at the moment is that I've kind of done some blobs randomly like this, and I kind of dragged it around a little bit, and that seems to be even better. So I might come back to it with a little bit thinner and then kind of just wipe it across later on, and that might make it look even better. Now, there's a couple of bits and pieces that I want to pick up, like tools or bits of equipment, and I've recently come into a little bit of money because I found £5 underneath the tyre of my partner's car when I was saying goodbye to her the other day. I was like, oh, look at that, £5. And then I came home to a £350 tax rebate, so that was lovely. And I also had a little pay rise the other day. They come in threes, right? I was going to do the lottery today, but I totally forgot about it until right now. But perhaps someone is smiling down on me out there at the moment. So with a little bit of money I've got, I'm going to get a few bits and pieces. I would like to get a little paint mixer. There's a really good paint mixer out there called the Vortex. It's somewhere between £90 to £100. Basically, it's just like a little cone shape, the little dip in the top. You push your little paint bottle into it, activates the switch, and it just kind of vibrates the life out of your paints, and it just kind of really mixes them up. I'm not going to get that one because it's horrendously expensive. That you can get nail polish mixes that are almost identical in their appearance apart from their colour, and they are a third of the price, and you can just pick those up on Amazon. I've been wanting one for a while, specifically for the enamel paints that I'm using now, because they have a lot of sort of pigment in them, and it can settle unless you keep on top of it. I just wanted to really give them a really good mix, and there's a few other products that I use that could benefit from having a really good shake. So for a small cost of £30 over the 100, I think that is worth investing in. Yeah, lots of people have told me, hey, you should probably use one of these, get one of these. So I will. I'd also like to get like a little mini drill, like I was talking about last week. People talking about their Dremels and things. Dremel's a really good brand. Dremel's actually such a good brand, it's used as like a general term for mini hobby drills and things. I'm going to get my Dremel. But I like Proxon, a German brand. I just like German machinery and tooling. I think they're just very high quality, and Proxon makes some wonderful hobby tools. I've got like a micro sander with like a little power adapter. So because of the power adapter is one of the reasons why I might get the Proxon mini drill, because it means that I can use the adapter that I have and save that expense and use it with other Broxon products. It works just like a Dremel, so I think I might get one of those and just help me do a lot of other smaller crafting things. I'm really impressed with this as a color. I really hope that the camera here is doing it justice today. It's looking really good. It's a little bit brighter than I was expecting it to be, but that's all right. That might tone down with some of the things that we're going to be doing with it in a minute, but just generally it's looking really good. Let me just lift the end up over here. Yeah, it's a really good color. Really liking it. Oh, just trying to not get this pigment everywhere. Got a couple more comments going in. Yeah, Jeff says track wash will make the silver more gunmetal colour. Yep. Darren says that rust effect colour looks spot on. I'd cover the whole tracks in it. Yeah, it's pretty much what I've done. I've tried not to go too heavy, so the whole thing just doesn't come as one solid orange block. I like the effect of it kind of being blotchy. That's really working for me. You've gone on to say try thinning it and airbrushing it in. Yeah, you're right. Actually, I could do. I'm just not really not ready to take that step yet. And then Jeff says, yeah, that rust is good. It is a wonderful colour, isn't it? This is the heaviest I've ever used this colour, to be fair. I've normally just kind of played around with it because I'm an impulse buyer, so I had it and I wanted to do some like little bits and pieces on some of the 28mm builds, incidentally, that I did for your Tiger and your Sherman dad. So if you want to see those, head on over to Purple Line Creations, because it's some display pieces to go along with the products that he's made for some of his customers. It is drying pretty well. I'm just going to give it a bit of a blast with some air just to kind of push that along a little bit. So Darren, when you were saying put it in the airbrush, are you talking about just the thinner, or are you talking about the colour as well? A little bit of air. Oh, this room is quite fumey. It is ventilated. It is very well ventilated, so don't worry, don't panic. I get any comments later on going, oh yeah, you should be wearing a mask. It's a ventilated room. No worries. Okay, cool. Bit of water. Talking so much. Parched. Yum. Right. Turn that over. You can see that the colour has kind of run from underneath as well, which is good. Get a bit more out of the pot into the palette there. I'm not having the usual problem that I have with the pigment today that I normally would have. Normally when I'm using these things, it just seems to settle right at the bottom. Maybe it's because I'm just using it such a large volume, but it's working for me today. I'm okay with that. Got a bit heavier there than I really wanted to. I'll put a bit thinner in there in a minute, kind of move it around, see what happens. Darren says, colour as well. Oh, okay, it'll find its way into the detail better than the brush. Do you know what? On the next 1/35th build that I do, I'll take that step. Just not ready to do it yet. Maybe what I'll do is, because one of the other things that I want to buy is another airbrush, just because I want to kind of try and really improve my airbrushing. There's a good model up from what I currently use out there that I want to have a go with. Once I get that one, then obviously I'll have two brushes. So even though I don't want to have one that just becomes kind of a disposable feature, at least I've got another one that can be used if I ruin it, if that makes sense. Yeah, this is really working. This is good. I'm not too keen on where it's run in between the segments on the tracks, in between the track links. That is understandable because obviously these tracks on this particular model are all one piece. They are like a rubberized plastic effort that kind of saves me having to do individual links. If they were individual links, that wouldn't happen because there would be no material there for it to pull into. So hopefully when I come to use the track wash later on, it will run into those areas and either tone it down or completely hide it. So yeah, we'll see. This, however, has just been a very exciting couple of hours for me. Glad I've decided to change it up a little bit. I'm still nervous about doing camouflage on this 135th build, but I'll get there. I've been looking back at the 15mm ones from last week, and they're not bad. I see what it is that makes me feel disappointed, and I'm fairly confident about how to correct that. It's just because they're so small scale, trying to use such an amount of different colours on them just is lost and actually ruins the effect. So I'm just going to use those darker colours on it, and obviously when it comes to this bigger build, I'll just use the darker colours and then build up the modulation effect in the areas that I've already done it with the yellow colour. So where it's highlighted, I will highlight the camo areas just to kind of, and just a little bit as well, not even by that much. So I think I know what I've got to do. I'm just nervous about it. I don't want to ruin all the work that I've done. I'm sure we've all been there before. Sometimes you just got to take that leap though, haven't you? You just got to go and do it. Wonderful. That looks really good. Oh, I'm so pleased. I really wanted something to go right on this show for a while, because obviously I have a little history in the recent past of things not working, be it the connection with the internet or just having, you know, things that have gone on for a really long time. I'm glad this is working for me today. Yay. Yay for me. Right, it's looking really good. I'm really into it. Let's give that a bit more air. I think I'm definitely also going to get myself a hairdryer, just a little one, you know. Multitasking here, doing one thing in one hand, doing another with the other one. Maybe I am a good broadcaster. I'll leave you to be the judge of that. Okay. That is pretty good. Let's just turn that over. I like to keep it moving so that it doesn't have chance to kind of stick to hang on. Okay. That's looking really good. As I've probably said a million times right now. Just going to give it a bit more air because I think it's all run through from the other side as well. Also applying that air at quite close is making it a bit more random, so it's kind of just moving it around a little bit, like Darren says, I suppose, kind of just working it in. And I'll give it a quick wipe over in a minute with a bit of thinner, just see what that does to it. that's looking good. I like the random effect. I like everything about it. I'm generally very pleased. This is good. So, okay, we're pretty close to the end of the show. However, I just don't want to stop right now. That doesn't mean I'm going to run the show over for ages and ages or anything like that. I'm going to give it a quick go with this track wash and see what happens here. Obviously, I'm going to be around after today's show, the Easy 8 after party. Head on over to the Discord. There is a link in the description if you haven't done that already. Click on there. It will ask you to make a profile. It's really, really easy to do. And you've also got to just verify your email address as well. It just says, hey, verify. You click on it, go to your email address. Sorry, your email account, just click the button there or whatever it is that it requires you to do, and then come and join in. I'll be there on a video chat. Some guys come in and join in. Some people just type to me. Other people just talk to me. Come on over and have a little chat and share some ideas. And we'll also talk about this if you want to as well, because this has gone really well tonight. And I'm sure there's a couple of you out there that want to have a bit of a chit chat about it. I've got to do a bit of cleaning down this evening with my airbrush and all my enamels and stuff here. So I'll be here for a little while afterwards. And yeah, perhaps I'll do a little bit of this track washing now. Projects moving forwards then, things that I want to do over the next few weeks. This is something that I definitely want to pursue, at least for next week, because I think there's a little bit of work that I can do on this to kind of make these look a little bit better. That is perhaps doing a little bit of track wash, maybe streaking grime to kind of add that definition to it that it probably needs, and then a little bit of metal work on it as well. I would like to have time to do it during the week. If I don't, then it'll be a great thing to do next week. And I'd also like to get the wheels done on my tank as well, so that I can just kind of put it all on and make it look really, really cool. Because once that's on, these bits are on, the side skirts can go on, and then I can just finish doing the pin washing on the hull, and then it's time for camo, and then I think we're done. So I'm really, really excited. After the camo, of course, I've got to put on the decals and things, and that will probably be a separate subject in itself, but that's fine. So that's next week, perhaps, probably. I've also got a little miniature that was given to me by Jeff. Dad, thank you very much, which was one of those free giveaways from Games Workshop, where they gave away a little box, and inside it was a little Space Marine, one of the Primaris ones. I'd like to do a little feature on that, where I'm going to go into zenithal highlighting with a bit of pre-shading from the airbrush, so using a black undercoat, using a white undercoat from a direction of your light source, and then just putting a paint scheme over the top to see how well that works. Doing a bit of weathering. Maybe I'll introduce some of these AK products into it as well, because I'm going to use that model as a tester for some of my Space Marines. Though I've got the colours and the army choices and everything that I want for my Space Marines, I'd like to use my newfound skills and knowledges with all the paints that I've been doing over the last 12 months. I'd like to kind of redo my Space Marines with it and see where we go with that. There's also some stuff I'd like to do for Gaslands and a few other bits and pieces of that as well, and of course moving into, hopefully into the summer, where we get Kyle back with us. I'm really, really hoping Kyle can join us within the next couple of weeks, 2, maybe 3 weeks at most, I'm hoping, as is he, and we're going to go into doing something with, you know, project with the skin tones and things like that as well. I really do want your feedback on things like that. Let me come away from the workbench so I can talk to you properly. Where am I? Here I am. Hi. Yeah. So, had a little bit of a weird fade thing going on there. Anyway, yeah, I'd love to get your feedback on sort of group projects if you are interested in that. However, if you're just kind of wanting to watch the show, see what I do, that's fine as well. But if you want to kind of get involved and do something as a community, you know, maybe like a skin tone study together, then yeah, that's great. I don't have the time at the moment, unfortunately, to do a second show like I've always wanted to do, where we do kind of community projects together. So it is going to be projects on the painting club show. As you can tell, I'm getting very excited about it all. As and when a bit of time comes up for me, I can always go and do stuff over on Discord as well. The summer is going to be a bit busier for me, but routine is starting to occur at work, so the show is going to carry on. Next week's show has a slight possibility, a 5% chance, let's call it, of it being on a different day because of my job and having to share workloads out with my staff team. It might be that it's on a different day. However, I was talking with my team earlier on, and we are going to try and change some shifts around so that I can still bring the show to you at the same time next Friday, which would be great. But on the very, very slight chance that it could change, I will make sure that I inform you guys through Facebook. I'll put a little video up or a little message out there, so keep an eye on that so that you don't miss it. Obviously, if you have subscribed, which I'm always saying that people should try and do, because it helps me out and helps you out, because you'll get a little alert for it. So if I'm going live on the day that you're not expecting it, then then you'll know. Yeah, let me know what you think. Give me some feedback. Group projects, community projects, or are you just interested in watching it, doing a bit of study work on it? Like I said, I'm going to buy me and Kyle a miniature, and we're going to kind of work together on it and see what happens. If you've got any other little mini projects and things that you want to see from me, like today doing the tracks here, doing kind of different things in the future, let me know, because I want to do it. I'm really getting into this tonight. It was nice to have that break from doing the tyrannies, which are going really well as well. Anyway, yeah, that's it from me. I'm just going to make sure that I check my itinerary, that I haven't missed anything off here. No, because I have an awful habit of forgetting to talk about things that I really want to talk about, including in next week's show. So yeah, there you go. Anyway, just make sure that I've not missed all of the comments here. Jeff has said, oh no, Darren has said, he finds it way better in the detail than using a brush. Oh, using the airbrush with the enamel weathering things, yeah. Be careful weathering that side of the tracks where the wheels touch. Wouldn't want that rusty coming constantly rubbing. What I'm going to do with it is I'm going to make sure that I varnish everything. I always kind of give a little coat over the top. The matte gives a really nice effect on the tracks, so that's what I'll do. And then when the wheels are all in place on the tank, the little the guide wheel at the rear and the drive wheel at the front, they got little grips on the insides of them that are glued in place, and they allow the wheel to freely rotate. So my intention is get them on the drive wheel and then just kind of just gently draw them through, rest them on the road wheels, and then glue them, and then they should be able to shift. The road wheels will be glued in place, but it should prevent, I'm hoping, with a good bit of, because enamel is a really sturdy product anyway, and then with a bit of varnish over the top, it should prevent there from being any kind of contact damage as I kind of put them in place. It should be a fairly easy process. Let's see what happens. Who knows? Because they've actually got to be glued as well. Who knows, right? Then Jeff says, with the 15mm tanks, just try one with a stipple brush on the camo rather than the airbrush. Yeah, you're right. I could do that. I'm looking also at the Ferdinands that I did. And I'll take some pictures of them later on and put them up on Facebook. Though it's not been done very well, actually. Now I'm coming back to it and I'm looking at it, going like, it's not that bad. Excuse me. I'm very fond of the yellow colour just on itself, without any of the camouflage, because I think it's a very pretty colour. I think the tanks look very attractive with it. So I think last week, because that yellow scheme was so fresh in my head, and then I put this disastrous camo over it, I had that fresh comparison. But now looking at it now, it's not bad at all. It's all right. It needs a bit of tidying up, but it'll be okay. 15mm tanks. Who cares, right? And Jared says, that's not what I meant. Okay. Right. Oh. Be careful weathering that side of the tracks where the wheels wouldn't touch. Right. Yes. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Be careful where I'm putting the weathering, where the road wheels will come into contact with it. Yeah. Like I say, it's a study that I haven't really put too much, I haven't gone into it too far yet, because I'm still trying to work out my color recipes and things. Once I'm happy with the colors that I use, the process that I go through it, then obviously I'll put more research into where contact comes in and where wear and tear generally is. And that's the same with the whole tank as well. When you're applying weathering or mud splashes, where are those mud splashes actually going to go? Because they're not just going to kind of cover the whole tank, are they? They're going to have like directional points of origin, and that is an interesting thing in itself. I did a little bit of study on whitewashing and where it kind of comes away, where it kind of gathers up, so you have not just a tank that looks kind of white faded, but you actually have like thicker areas and runoff areas, and areas where it's almost completely gone, and that's where the rain hits with a crew kind of walking all over it, and that can be quite an interesting subject in and of itself. I have a whitewash product here. Haven't used it since I played around with it ages and ages ago. Maybe that's another project to bring up. Anyway, he says, I'll tell you on Discord. Yep, cool. Anyway, we'll have a little chat over there now. So if you want to, come and join me and the rest of the community over on Discord now. I'll be there for about half an hour at the very least. Maybe for about an hour while I kind of finish off this and clean everything down. And as always, I will see you next week. My name's Danny. You guys have been fantastic. Stay kind, stay safe, and I will see you again next week. Take care for now. Bye-bye. Absolutely fantastic effect. Absolutely love it. Brilliant.